It's a bit jarring not seeing Julia at the champs podium tonight, and not only that, but having a guy there. We haven't had one since April 8th, and in the meantime we've had a 20-day champ and a 6-day champ, both of whom were females. Brian's got the lead once again, looking to repeat. Sarah looking to reclaim the female mantle and to, of course, make some money for herself. Peter, a distant third, he's not going to play factor here. Let's look at first and second. Sarah doubles up. She's going to have 22,000, so to cover her, Brian will need to wager 8,800. If he's wrong with that wager, he'll be left with 4,400. So to stay above that, Sarah can wager no more than 6,600. And you'll see that Peter can only reach 2,400, so he's out of contention here. Now, to cover a zero wager by Brian, Sarah will have to wager 2,200. And if she wants to cover that unsafe or Colby-esque wager, she'll have to wager twice that, or 4,400. Now we get into the mind games a little bit. Brian looks at Sarah and says, "Hey Sarah, I think you're conservative. I think you're going to make a safe wager. You can wager at most 6,600. If you do that, you'll have 17,600. So that means I would have to wager 4,400. So that's an alternative wager for Brian. And if he gets it wrong with that wager, he's going to be left with 8,800. And to cover that, or to stay above that, I should say, Sarah can wager up to 2,200. But notice that that's the difference between her score and Brian's. So what we have here is kind of an obscure wager to tie situation. Sarah has exactly 5/6 of Brian's score, which I don't really consider a wager to tie situation, because what are the odds that you're both going to think that way? Technically, yes it is, but one of the commenters, WJ Morris 3, pointed out that you can take the difference between these two scores, 2,200, and if it goes into both players' scores, then it's a wager to tie situation. I'll get into the math in a future segment. Okay, so I'm happy with the 4,400 to 6,600 range for Sarah, or 2,200, and for Brian, 8,800 or 4,400. If Brian really thinks that Sarah's going to go that deep and say 2,200, he can wager 0, but I put a question mark next to that. All right, let's see how each player did. Peter got it wrong, but stood pat. Sarah got it right and wagered 10,000, which is just too much for this situation. Brian got it wrong, wagered to lock her out, and Sarah has reclaimed the champs podium for the ladies. She'll be back tomorrow to defend for the first time, and I hope to see you then as well on the final wager.